Hey guys, welcome to Pal Talks. I'm your host, Paulina. You can also call me Pau. For those of you who do not know me, I was born in Los Angeles, California, but I am now residing in Louisiana. And I just want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. Um, I normally love to hang out with my family, with my friends, and always enjoy a good girls' night out. Um, so that's just a little bit about myself, but I know you're probably wondering what Bow Talks is all about. And Bow Talks is literally about my past experiences, life lessons, my everyday life, and also just wanting to share things that I observe, I see, and answer fun questions and interact with you guys. So let's get to it. Um, so this week, I feel like it's been like building momentum to get here, but I just been observant of everything that's been around me, and I feel that lately I've been going out, just trying to enjoy my friends and be around family, and I've been normally when I go out, especially like with girlfriends, I tend to have a good time, but lately I feel like every single time we've been going out, we get ourselves in interesting situations, really interesting situations that I'm not expecting myself to get into, but they're definitely fun experiences. And it just made me think about like a lot of the things that I've done. And I will say that if there's anything that I've taken from these past couple of weeks has been I don't mind making mistakes as long as I don't lose the lesson from it because I definitely think that's always important, even with the good and the bad. So, yeah, I've been doing that quite a bit. So, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like something that has kind of sparked something in me and my friends too. But and then lately I've been getting into reading the news, but this week has thrown me off because I normally don't like to read the news because I know I can go down like a rabbit hole, a really extreme rabbit hole. And I feel that lately I'm reading these random posts on news channels that I'm just kind of mind boggled because I'll just give you some examples that throws me off of my maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't know because I'm reading it and I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? So, like a week ago, there was an airplane that crashed, and they're posting about it, right? The news channel is posting about it, but they post specifically, very specific. Experienced pilot offers insight on blank plane crash, and I'm just thinking like, why would you specifically write experienced pilot? Because normally um you wouldn't go to an unexperienced pilot for advice. So it's just like, why are they specifically putting these words like we're stupid or something? I'm like, duh. It has to be an experienced pilot, or I don't know, a specialist or something for a plane crash. But they were very specific, and it just threw me off because the news made me feel stupid. So it's just like, that's just weird. And then I'm just kind of scrolling along, and then they'll put 3 inmates have escaped from whatever parish jail this year, and the sheriff says it was human error behind it. And I'm just thinking, like, well, yeah, obviously somebody wasn't doing their damn job because clearly they escaped. So yeah, I'm just thinking like, okay, well that sounded very stupid, but I'm trying to keep up with the news, trying to keep up with it. So I'm like, oh, this is why I don't like to read too much about the news because they just put some dumbass shit. They really do. They put some dumbass shit. I'll just read one more. Forecourt facility expected to boost tourism and create community connections for players of all ages. Okay, let's think about that. Because I travel quite a bit. Like, I travel a lot. And nowhere in my mind would I get on an airplane and say, gee, let me fly to this location and go play on a forecourt. And somehow they believe this is going to attract tourism. And I'm just like, No, but there goes our tax money, So yeah, that just kind of threw my news rabbit hole through a loop. But yeah, and since it is Halloween week, I was thinking about Halloween, preparing for Halloween. I'm sure y'all all are preparing for Halloween, and I noticed on the news, of course, they're announcing the hours, and um, it made me think. I was like, they're very specific on these hours, and it's usually like a 2 hour window where we're at. I don't know where y'all live, but where we're at is a 2 hour window. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure when I was younger, man, we would trick or treat from like 6 p.m. to midnight, knocking on people's doors. Like there was just no time limit. And now there's a time limit. I feel like they took the fun out of it. I feel like that's why teenagers can't even be teenagers and they're trying to grow up too fast because they're just, I mean, we're taking those fun moments away. And I remember I would trick or treat up and down streets till I was exhausted, like tired. And I remember trick or treating in California and we would go into businesses. Like it was just a thing, but now not here. Here is like a 2 hour window. Like you better trick or treat and walk because if not, you're gonna miss out. And there's an age limit too. So that threw me off too because like I think once you're like 15 or 16, you can't trick or treat no more. And I remember I trick or treated for a long time, good into my teenage years. Like I love candy. I'm an adult and I still love candy. So I don't know why they're putting an age limit either. And then y'all wondering why these damn kids are turning out bad. But I mean, that was just something that was on my mind. So I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but it's definitely been on my mind. And yeah, it just threw me off. I don't know about y'all. But you know what happened to me this week? So I've been kind of like, I live in a neighborhood, right? Where predominantly is like old people, you know. But I've been there for a hot minute, I've been there for a hot minute and I have these two neighbors, right? So these two neighbors, they're they're both men. They love to cut their grass. They cut the grass all the time. They're obsessed with cutting the grass. Like the grass has to be perfect, and your girl does not have time for grass cutting as much. Um, but the neighbor right across from me has not lived there that long, but the neighbor right next to him has. He was there like when I moved in, and never once has he offered the hand of, "Hey, would you like me to help you edge? Do you need help with your weed eater? Do you need help with cutting the grass? Do you need help with trimming the trees?" No. And I'm a girl, so I'm thinking like, oh, whatever. Now, this new neighbor across the street from me, he's only lived there for like a hot minute, a few months. And he's done edge his grass, take out his weeds, like helping him like they're bro. Like they have a bro code for sure because he helps them all the time. And they definitely keep their grass spick and span. And it just got me feeling some kind of way. It really does got me feeling some kind of way. I don't know. I've been giving that neighbor like this look like, I see you helping that neighbor, but we've been neighbors longer. Like, what the hell? We live on a cul-de-sac, but it is what it is. I want to see my nails. Oh, let me see. In honor of Halloween. Isn't it cute? Um, but no, other than the dumb neighbor making me upset, I've been Netflix and chilling. I've been Netflix and chilling quite a bit. And I enjoy Netflix and chilling and watching movies. I love movies. I love series. I love shows. Um, but usually when I'm on Netflix, I like your good old Korean dramas, some baking shows. I like action movies, but I do love me some true crime. It don't have to be October. I do love me some true crime. And one of the shows that I recently watched is Monster, the Ed Gein story. Okay, and like I said, I love true crime, but this particular show threw me off because it took me quite a few days to take in the episodes. Like I could not watch the whole entire series. Okay, so I'm a binger. I like to binge watch, but I could not binge watch this show. no, this is not the show to binge watch, nor is it the show to watch with children around. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I started watching it, and at first I'm like, I'm watching it, and what's his name is in it? Charlie Hunnam. Yes, that's his name. Ooh, he fine too. He's cute, but in this show, he don't look like normal him. Like he just he did a whole transformation. So obviously, I was interested in watching the show. He's a great actor, and but it's basically a biographical drama series, and it explores the life of convicted murder and body snatcher Ed Gein. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but it went into some sick stuff that I honestly did not even know existed. Like I knew they got some messed up people out there, but damn, this one was pretty gory. It's just it messed with my mind. It was kind of one of those shows where you don't want to watch, but you can't look away. So it took me a minute to finish that series. I do, if you like true crime and just kind of exploring the mindset of a killer or a serial killer, it definitely will intrigue you. It's just one of those shows. But like I said, it threw me off because the first episode it comes across super strong, super strong. Um, and right off the bat, like they just show you how much a child's childhood affects their brain and how they interpret things, how they see things. It was very conflicting because it made me feel just episode 1 and 2 made me feel dirty. Like it made me feel wrong to watch it. Because I I honestly don't even know how they filmed half of the stuff because it was pretty graphic and I just didn't know that people had those kind of problems and they saw people and humans and sexuality in that kind of way. I just did not fathom it. I'm just thinking, man, should they even be putting a show like this on TV? Because giving a show like this where kids and teenagers have access to, sometimes these shows give these teenagers and young adults some ideas. And I'm like, this is not something you want kids to see. I don't know. This generation's different. It really is different. Like they be doing some crazy stuff too. And sometimes they want to replicate things and redo things. And it's just, it throws me off. But so yeah, episode 1 and 2. And he basically he has a weird relationship with his mother, which affects him his whole entire life, affects the way he sexually sees himself. Um, but episode 1 and 2, they pretty much dive into him removing bodies from the cemetery and having sexual intercourse with them. And then also finding techniques and ways on removing their skin and turning them into household objects. And they're showing you how his collection of like just people like turning like their body into lampshades or collecting, just human genitalia. And it was very disturbing. Like it just kind of, like I said, it made me feel uneasy that I could not watch more than 2 episodes at a time. And it took a couple of days in between the episodes because it was a lot, and it took him a while to kind of explain his mindset. And it's kind of like a buildup, but at the same time, it's almost like a character that you feel so sorry for because he looks so misunderstood and lost, and you're just really feeling it for this person because you're just thinking like, man, this man didn't have a chance just based alone on his childhood and the way his mother raised him and made him feel and think, or what she experienced. It really rubbed off on him. So it was very sad and very disturbing. Not a show I would say it's for anybody that has any like a very if you don't like to see body parts or blood or sexual scenes with bodies, dead people, then I would not recommend the show. But if you're interested in like mental health and how that affects people in society and how they misinterpret it and how, children should be taught and how important those years are so fundamental to their growth. And it just really made myself more aware of how I speak to children in general, because I was just like, man, it really affects our brains, and we don't even realize when we see these things. So yeah. Um, I don't want to go into the details of the ending, but I will say this, this person has passed. He was like diagnosed with lung cancer in 1980 because he was convicted. He was in a psych facility, but he did pass away from lung cancer. But it was sad because he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he lived a very sad life, because even when they caught him, like, it was hard for him to even process and understand it, and he was just kind of just stuck, like living in this facility, but fighting his mind. And at those times we didn't have the information on all these mental issues as we do today. So he must have had like a really hard life, which it makes me feel kind of weird because he killed all these people, but you feel so bad for him. But I do recommend it. If you like true crime, I do recommend it. Um, like I said, it was an 8-part series, and it took me days to complete it. But I would say it's one you definitely watch in private. I, I don't think I would feel comfortable watching this show with other people, because it makes you feel uncomfortable even by yourself. At least that's how it made me feel. So if you ever have like a day by yourself and you want to watch something that's just off the wall, that's your show. That is definitely your show. And I know they're doing like a monster series with different people. Um, so if you like that one, you can go and look at the other ones too. But that one really caught my attention. And it made me think about just mental health and how fundamental those years are. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it because it's so close to Halloween and it really left an impression on me. But yeah, we're gonna move on to our next segment and go down memory lane. I've had a lot of life experiences, a lot of lessons, a lot of I almost feel like I've lived a lot of lives in such a short span of time, and a lot of my friends and family tell me this too. Uh, Even though I'm young, I just have experienced more than the average, apparently. um, but I do want to share stories with you guys, and lessons that I've learned, and just off the wall stories, because some of the stories, you think I'm making it up, but I really am not making it up. It really happened, and I'm like, look, the Kardashians ain't got nothing on me. I feel at this point they ain't got nothing on me, because I can't make it up. And so yeah, so we're gonna go down memory lane, and hopefully you guys enjoy this fun story. To me, this story is basically on my turning point in my life where um, I was taught the value of um, family, and it was a big turning point for me and my dad, a huge turning point. Um, and I would say it marked me for life. It marked me for life, and I think it marked him for life, and it definitely was a pivotal point in my life that needed to happen, that I know now. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll get comfortable. So when I was really young, I was really rebellious. I was really rebellious. I was fearless. I'll tell you guys fun stories about those later, but I was really rebellious, and I left home. I left home at a really young age. I don't recommend it. But I just wanted to experience life, and I left really young, and I was determined to prove to my mom and dad that I didn't need them no more, and I was just going to do my own thing, and I was going to show them that I was going to be independent and strong, and that I didn't need their guidance or my family. Um, so yeah, that was the way I was thinking at 16. I was just, that's how 16-year-olds think, I believe. So at the time, I moved out of state. I'm crazy. I moved out of state, and it was pretty far away. I moved and I kind of reestablished myself. I signed up for high school still. I enrolled myself in high school. I stayed with one of my aunts. And it was the first time I experienced, everything on my own. And I thought I was like super cool. And I was like, look at me, I'm doing it. Um, and I honestly didn't have a really good relationship with my family at the time. I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to do my own thing. And I would say that I I wanted to make friends at my new school. And I noticed that it was a school where the first time I've ever experienced where I had predominantly like Caucasian and Latinos. And I had came from a school that there was mostly Caucasian and um, Black people, like just African American people, and like there was Asian and there was Latinos, but we were definitely like the minority of the school. Um, so I felt really empowered when I got there. I was like, wow, there's so many Latinos here. Like, this is great. I can't wait to make new friends, just experience a whole different experience in high school, and we'll see what happens. And at the time, I remember I was dating someone that was older, and he he definitely supported me getting there and just trying to experience this. And we'll get into those stories later. So I got there and I started making new friends. It was only a few weeks in, I started making new friends. I definitely quickly adjusted my friendships to a lot of Latinos. And it was the first time I ever experienced being around that many, and I felt like I wanted to fit in. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just kick it with them. And you always kind of, you gotta find your place, when you're in high school, you gotta find like where are you gonna fit in. And we started going out, and I didn't really know him, it's only been like 2, 3 weeks. We started going out, and I remember one night I went with one of the girls to a fair. And at the time, I was very well taken care of. Like I said, I had an older boyfriend. I was very well taken care of. I had an allowance. I would always go shopping. I had nice things, jewelry, a cell phone. Like I just lived a more privileged lifestyle than a lot of the other Latino kids that were around me, and they definitely noticed it. And that's another reason that I felt they gravitated towards me, because they noticed like um, I had money, and I had access to it, and um, they thought it was cool that I was on my own. Um, so I started hanging out with them, and I remember I went to this fair, and I was there with one of my new friends, and we ran into like the group that they were trying to welcome me in. And I was like, "Oh, hey guys, how you guys doing?" And they were like, we're just gonna go to a house party. Do you guys want to come?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go, let's do it. I love house parties." Like I was 16 and stupid and reckless, and I just wanted to party and have a good time. So I was just like telling the girl that was with me, I was just like, "You want to go to the house party?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to go to the house party." She's like, "I don't really get along with those people." And I was like, "Oh, why not? Like you're Latina, I'm Latina. Let's kick it with them." And she was just like, I don't know, like her vibe was off with the girls that were with the guys in that group. And she's like, "No, go ahead. You go have fun. I'll just text you later. We'll just hang out another time. We already had fun at the fair. I don't want to like mess up your night or whatever." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go ride with them, and I'll just text you when I get home." And I remember, we were just riding in the car on our way to the party, and I remember it's like a house party. We arrive at the house. Um, I have a really good memory, and one of the things I've always done as a like teenager, like whenever I go somewhere for the first time, I try to remember how to get there, like just to test my memory. Like I could drive from like one city to the next, and I'll try to remember the directions. So like to challenge myself. So I remember I was like purposely like trying to remember like, oh, okay, we turned here, we turned there, and I was like, okay, let's do it, you know? And so we get to this house. It looks like a normal house, normal house. And we get to this house and everything looks fine. Like I walk in, there's a table in the living room, you know, just a normal kitchen. The guys start bringing bottles, you know, they got some tequila, some rum. I think they even had vodka. And they're like, all right, girls, let's put some music on. Let's kick it. Let's, you know, let's just put some reggaeton or something. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like, Paulina, do you want to like go to the kitchen and cut some limes? And I'm like, yeah, mind you, I have experience drinking alcohol. Okay, I've drank alcohol in my life like for years now, and I would say I was a pretty good drinker. Like I knew how to measure my alcohol, and I have a high tolerance. Till this day, I truly believe I have a high tolerance. Um, and I was just like, yeah, you know, for sure. Like I kind of knew my limits. I was just like, okay, I'll take a couple shots. I know how to pace myself. I'll dance it off, sweat it off, you know, like just dance the night away. Because we're at a party. So I go to the kitchen, and then I go cut the limes. You know, it doesn't take that long to cut limes. So I go in there and I cut the limes, and then I come to the living room, and they have like all these shots lined up already. They had like rum ones and tequila ones, and all the girls were like around the table, and the guys, there were only like three, maybe four guys, and there was like six girls and myself. So a total of like seven girls, maybe three, four guys. So all the shots were lined up, and they're like, let's do some shots. And I'm like, okay. And so I'll let a fair warning. The story might get a little crazy right here. So if you have children watching, I'll probably stop them from watching for the next couple of minutes. But there's a happy ending. But we pour the shots. I take the first shot. I don't really feel anything. I'm like, oh, this is fine. You know, it's I don't feel nothing. Take the second shot, and I feel like something tingle, like in my. It's not like like a burn, but I feel something tingle, like something off. And I'm like, man, you know, like damn, that was a strong ass shot. And then here comes shot number three, and I definitely feel kind of like a numbness, almost like a blood rushing to my head, and I feel like a numbness. And then I wake up in the hospital. When I woke up and I opened my eyes again, I was in the hospital, and I can barely see. I could barely see. Um, my whole entire head was bandaged. I could not see anything on my face. Um, I can only feel the burning sensation of my tear coming out of my eye. And I knew something was wrong. I can hear the hospital beeps, you know, I was connected. I can hear voices. I can see my aunt. But I knew at the time, I had a boyfriend, you know, he was much older. He was stayed back home in the state where I was living at, but he was right in front of me. And I knew something was really, really, really wrong. And I tried to reach for my face, and I saw nothing but scars on my face, like nothing but scars on my hands. And they try to stop me from trying to touch my face. So I think I passed out from the pain. So then when I woke up again, I was a little bit more calmer, and then I can understand what they're, you know, the doctors telling me what had happened from the moment they brought me to the hospital. So when they brought me to the hospital, I was almost unconscious. They had to pump my stomach. They thought I had like alcohol poisoning or something, but when they did, they pumped my stomach, and they were trying to get me to, you know, wake up. they did testing on it, and they had found like drugs in my system that I did not take, but they definitely put in my drink. So they were explaining that to me. And then after the doctor left, I asked my aunt, like, how did I get here? Like, how did I end up in the hospital? And she was like, um, Paulina, look, like, we thought you went out to the fair and you didn't come back to the house. And next thing you know, it's after midnight and we hear a knock on the door, and we open the door, a car is taking off, and you're on the ground bleeding everywhere. You didn't even have the same clothes that you left out with. Your hair was wet. My tooth was on the ground. They could not even recognize my face. Um, so my aunt yelled for her husband, and they were trying to stop the bleeding, but they couldn't find the bleeding. Um, but my aunt said I was so swollen, my eyes wouldn't even open. And the first thing she thought of is like she grabbed the tooth and she like popped it back in. And my uncle, my aunt just kind of grabbed me and rushed me to the hospital that was thankfully not that far away. And my aunt, called my boyfriend, like, hey, something's going on. Like, you need to get over here. He flew out very quickly. Um, and then they brought me to the hospital. Um, they did It was the first time I experienced a rape kit. They did everything. Cops were involved. And that's another story, But after they took my bandage off, I had to kind of like try to get my memory back and try to see if I can remember anything. And I do get flashbacks here and there of moments of that night of what happened to me, but I don't remember everything. I was not sexually assaulted. I was basically just beaten the crap out of, to a point that I could have died. Um, and I ended up finding out it was the girls at the party. It was the girls at the party. I don't know why they did it. Till this day, I don't know why they did it, but they all ended up like jumping me, beating the crap out of me. Um, Stealing my jewelry, my rings, even the contacts in my eyes, they stole from me, my shoes, everything. And we had to move very quickly with the police and get them involved. And ironically, thanks to my memory, I managed to remember how to get back to that specific house, and they were able to piece it all together for me. And um, my boyfriend at the time, I remember we were very close to Vegas, but he brought me to a surgeon to make sure my face would heal properly. That's probably why y'all can't see nothing. Thank you to him. But that was a very difficult time. But I remember I did not reach out to my family. Still, I was very embarrassed. I was very disappointed in myself. I felt shame. I just felt so many emotions for the age that I was. But I knew that I wanted to heal, and I wanted to go back home. I wanted to go back home to my family. So that was a big turning point, because for me, I had to go back home, and the first person that I went home to was my dad. And I apologized to him because life kicked me in the ass. And he told me a lot of things right before I left, because I was so determined to leave. It's like, I know you want to grow fast. I know you want to experience life. And I was just so grateful because he took me back with open arms. And it really humbled me to value my family and surround myself with people that love me and that I can trust. And um I really felt it was a point for us where I was able to tell him everything that I was feeling, on why I was rebelling so much. and and it really brought us closer because he really listened and um made me feel so welcome back to the family, and made me feel loved, made me feel safe. So it was a huge pivotal point for me in my life. And ever since that day, I would say my relationship with my dad only grew more and more. And he became such a guiding light to me. And it got to a point where I would say, like, if that wouldn't have happened to me, I don't think I would have had that pivotal point with my dad. And after that point, um, I was more involved with my family. I definitely spent more time with my siblings and my mother and just who I surrounded myself with. I was going down a really reckless path, and I feel like it needed to happen because there was no stopping me at that point. So it really humbled me, and it kind of made me wake up on how to view life and friends and new friends and friendships and who to trust. Um, so yeah, um, I would say it's important to surround yourself with the right people. Um, and I wanted to share this story with you guys because I feel that so much of teenagers around us and just people don't value family, and especially the young kids. They're just so fearless and reckless, and family is very important to me, very very important to me. And I think from that point in my life to now, that was a big pivotal point. So um yeah. And I know y'all probably wondering what happened to the girls, because I know everybody usually asks me, like, what happened to the girls? I'm like, yes, they ended up getting arrested. Like, it was a crazy event. But honestly, I didn't even care about that. I learned a big lesson on who you expose yourself to and who you trust. And it just made me really open up my eyes. And I think we all have one of those moments in our lives that really, like, whoa, slow down. And I think we all do. We need to remember those moments and value those moments. And it keeps you grounded, it keeps you humble. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. And if y'all have any questions about that later, well, I'll probably get into it later, but you never know. um we're gonna move over to some fun questions for you guys, change the vibe, and then maybe answer some advice for you guys. We did get some close friends to submit some questions to me, so I haven't read them. So I'm just gonna have my tech guy here give them to me, and I'll read them to you guys, and I'll tell you guys how whatever the question is. Let's see. What is the best gift you've ever been given? The best gift I've ever been given. Hmm, man, I'm really big on gifts. Like, I'm not a materialistic person, like where I am expecting gifts, but um, I I would say it was a long time ago. My my mom had given me some some cards that my dad had drew for me when I was younger. And she kept those cards, and he made the cards from scratch and drew everything on each card. And he was so detailed on each card, and she kept them to herself for a long, long time, and she finally gave them to me. And I think that's one of the best gifts I've ever received. I hold them dear to me. I have them in my home, and those are definitely, I would say, one of the best gifts I've ever received. Yeah. Let's see. Oh God. Ah, okay. Oh, y'all are funny. I have the funniest friends. God damn it. I'm gonna drink some water before I read this one. This is crazy. Why are men bitches? You know, Okay. So this is a hard question to answer because I feel like, women are bitches, men are bitches, but I do feel like some men act like bitches. They're not necessarily are bitches, but they do act like it. They have their days. We all do. But lately it feels like society has just been um more accepting of this behavior, and men are not stepping up. They're just not stepping up. Like chivalry is dead at this point. Like, I definitely feel social media does not help putting these ideas and just giving them the access to things they probably should not be having access to. But I just think that men have become a little bit like this because women have really stepped up these past couple of decades. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just stepping up. We stepping up. um, I love you, men. I do love you, men. Okay, I love you. Okay, let's see. What is the most romantic gesture a man has done for you? Y'all are killing me. Oh, there's no favoritism, okay? But there I would man, I would mm. Okay, so there's two that I'm thinking of. They're very specific. But I would say gesture wise, okay, so I once upon a time was with somebody, and this I'm Latina, I speak Spanish, so this man at the time learned a song in my language and played it for me and sang it to me on a ukulele. And I walked in and he started singing it to me. And it was a very specific song that I really love. It was like a bachata song. And I was just like shook because I don't know when he had the time to practice this. But he learned the song in Spanish and he performed it and he sounded amazing. I was really surprised. And then after that, yeah, that was a really cool experience. I very thoughtful. Definitely put some work into that. So I would say that's one for the books. Yeah. Um, all right. We're gonna do an advice. Okay. Someone's requesting some advice on a situation to see how I would handle it. Let's see. There is someone who envies me a lot at work, but I don't want to send them you know where, like go to hell. I'm just joking. How can I make sure I don't have any problems at work? I, I'm a let me phrase that. I'm not confrontational. I'm just I approach people when I have a problem. I don't like to keep it in. I approach people with the issue. I don't like the elephant in the room. I just go straight to them and be like, hey, if we have an issue, let's just figure it out. Like, I just hate that feeling, that lingering feeling in the air. um we're adults, have some balls and just go address it. But I mean, that's usually the easiest way. If not, it's just going to be either that person's going to give you more problems and just going to make your job like ugh. And I hate to work in places where I don't get along with people. So yeah, I would just nip it in the bud real quick. Like, don't be scared of it. Like, we're all adults. And then if you address it and you already brought it up, then it's on them. They have to deal with that if they don't want to address it and just move on with it. Yeah, I would go about it that way. But I think I think that's important to do with any situation, even in relationships. Just address the elephant in the room because sometimes the rooms are not that big. But all right, my beautiful people, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment if you enjoyed the show. And if you would like to submit a question or get advice, drop it in the comments. And we will see you next time. Good night. This episode is dedicated to my dad, Justin Powell. Um, he was definitely a rock in my life and someone that always motivated me and gave me amazing advice and has always been there for me through the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of my life moments. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but we do miss you. We love you. And we can't wait to see you again one day.